his back to the wall. He's got nowhere to go, and you can only fall. Let him have his freedom, let him find his place. He can keep his...
Hey, live on Pat Soundbites Unplugged podcast, keeping new music alive on the radio, on Zooms, on video. You know what I do. And of course, man, I just love my job because I always have great new music, great artists, great bands to support and promote. And today is no different. I am blessed to have a wonderful guest, a veteran rocker. He's been around for a while, been in a band called Sweat. He was in the premier Kiss tribute band called Cold Gin. I mean, who doesn't love that? And Saigon Kick. You remember Saigon Kick. And he's got his own band now that he's promoting and rocking. It's called Kinell. And they got a new debut album out. It is called Crash, Burn, Rebirth. A couple of videos out. And if you follow me, and his name is Chris, yeah, I can't even talk anymore. Chris McLernon, and he's on the On Deck Circle. And we're going to play a quick snippet of their track, their video, Take It All. And as you hear from me all the time, please follow Chris, follow the band Kinell, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. It really means a lot in today's world. So get ready. Crank it up, and it's time to rock a little Kinell, and the track is called Take It All.
A man with his back to the wall. He's got nowhere to go, and you can only fall. Let him have his freedom, let him find his place. He can keep his pride, let him state his case. It's easier said than done. This man is on the run.
Shut that off. Where are you, my man, Mr. Chris? There he is. Tell me your vocals work, right?
They should.
Good. Cool.
But I'm so loud you can probably hear me anyway.
You and me both, Chris. Welcome, sir. Great to have you aboard. Great band, great music. I love what I do. I love the track. Thanks for your time today, Chris. Congratulations. I always start out, Chris, to get to know you a little bit better, and for the listeners out there, how did you find your love for music, Chris? Was it watching the Beatles in '64, your first concert, mom and dad, musically inclined? What got you to drive and grab a bass and go, I want to do this?
Well, my parents played the radio, so that was about as musical as they got. But yeah, it was Beatles, funnily enough. I was not old enough to see them on TV, at least I don't remember. But my youngest or oldest, what would you say? I was the youngest, my oldest memory, I don't know. But my godmother and I were in one of the bedrooms at my grandparents' house, and I was jumping up and down the bed singing "Oh My Lovin'."
Oh, nice.
So that got me started. And then because nobody in my family, I mean, they're kind of musical, but nobody did it as a career at all. Nobody, like nobody. Although I had one uncle who was a member of Mensa. He's on the cover of Sports Illustrated and all that, but he played like 3 or 4 instruments. So it might have come from that. It's my mom's brother. But otherwise, till about 4th grade, I didn't really do much other than sing in choirs in class and, you know, stuff, birthdays, stuff like that. And at the 4th grade, we could get guitar lessons from the school. And I asked for it. You're thinking, like, I'm the oldest of 5. There's no way my parents are going to say yes. They did, and they got it for me. So that got me started, but it was all hymns, and I'm just like, well, not so much fun. But
can I get a drum kit, man?
Tuba, something, you know, let's make a dent somehow. So Hard Day's Night was played on WUAB in Cleveland when I was about, I don't know, 13, 14. And I had never seen the Beatles. I'd only heard them. You know, I loved them. And as soon as I saw them and they were having all that fun and the girls are yelling, and it's like, I didn't know this was fun. So I got my guitar fixed. I had still had the same guitar. I had a birthday, got the guitar fixed, and with that I bought a Beatles songbook and then just started going from there.
Did you take any lessons? Anybody give you lessons? Or you just?
I did. And I found it later on Facebook, which is kind of the cool thing about Facebook when it works for you. My teacher was a woman named Chris Collier, and I was in a tiny little town called Mount Vernon, Ohio. And Chris was the only guitar teacher I knew of, and she was, you know, also one of about 6, 7 Irish kids. And so I started taking from her. And then one Sunday or Saturday, I brought in Hotel California for her to figure out, and it was too much for her. And she was good, but she was a folky, you know. And she okay, I kind of figured it out. It's in B, and it's got a capo here and whatever. So we do the lesson, then we go home, and my dad pulls me out of my room later and he goes, "Hey, what the hell happened today at that lesson?" I'm just going, I don't know. I said, she said she can't teach you anymore. I was like, what happened? She said, well, she said she ran out of stuff to teach you. We have to go find another teacher. I was like, wow. I thought it was cool. He was pissed. I was like, so we did. We found one more teacher. I didn't last very long with him. And then from there, it was just kind of friends in my ear. I was blessed with a really, really, really good ear. And then I took some lessons in high school with a teacher who later went to play with Pure Prairie League. He's a really good guitar player. And he kind of got me started on being able to play and think about songs like Josie by Steely Dan, which, you know, way, way, way out of my skill set, but it got me started. So, and I started learning about theory and stuff like that. And I took it in college. So I took theory and composition, and also just having a lot of really good musicians. But I also knew a lot of really fun rock musicians too. So that's how I, you know, kept it rock and roll.
Do you remember your first concert?
Oh, absolutely I do. It was because I was late to the concert game because of that small town in Ohio. At the time, I was going to a prep school, really, in New Jersey, and it was not too far outside of Philadelphia. So my senior year, we got tickets to see Rush, moving pictures tour at the Spectrum. So it was FM and Rush. 3 weeks later, we had moved to Milwaukee, and I saw Iron Maiden at Summerfest for $5.
Wow.
Then 3 weeks after that, I saw Van Halen on the Fair Warning tour. So it was a pretty labor-intensive cramming session there for my first 7 weeks of a concert going. I got a lot in.
You covered a lot of bases pretty quick. That's cool. Well, okay, well, that's pretty cool. Now, tell me, were you in Cold Sweat before the whole the Kiss tribute band?
Oh yeah. Cold Sweat started Cold Gin started because of Cold Sweat. Jamie St. James and Mark Ferrari share a birthday. So musicians will get together on birthdays, they'll set up communal gear, and they'll just play a bunch of songs. So we used to just play Kiss songs, but we were so good. We were like, you know, we should really do something with this as opposed to just kind of, you know, farting around once a year. So Tommy Thayer said, you know what, man, I'm just going to book a gig. All right. So we played like the Whiskey or something like, no, it was the Roxy, like literally 1 a.m. And
we'll take it. I'll take it.
Exactly. We knew it. We knew better than that, right? It was like, okay, if you guys go and do this, it's just kind of proving the concept. You know, let's see if it just works. And it did. So we did another gig after that, and another club. Crowd got a little bigger, and this is all. Remember, this is jeans and t-shirts. This is no fancy stuff. This is just playing the songs.
Right.
Then Jamie St. James, who's notoriously one of those button pushers, says, "Hey, you know what? I think we can put on the makeup. We're getting ready to do a Memorial Day show." And I said, "You're out of your mind, man." And he goes, "No, we can do it. We can do it." I said, "We don't have the costumes." He said, "Doesn't matter. They'll see us come out in the makeup and they'll lose their mind." And I was like, "You're nuts, but." Why do you want to do this? He said, well, we can either be the heroes or the goats, and I'm not going to be a goat. So we went out, and he was right. Killed it. So I was like, okay, next step, we got to start making the uniforms and then getting the shoes. And we kept it to the Alive era because I was just clubby enough. You know, people do it now where they do the Love Gun era and all the crazy, crazy, crazy detail. We were like, no, we're starving musicians. You know, we can afford the latex, you know, the black spandex and the silver stuff, but we can't the studs and things. But we can't like those big boots. Nope. Way too much. I was eating ramen, man. There's no way I could $700 a boots. No.
Yeah, no, thank you.
Not happening. Still don't do it.
Yeah, but still, I mean, come on, that's one of the best albums. Black Diamond, Cold Gin, Strutter. Yep. You don't have to get into Love God or Destroyer or, you know.
We pull a fast one on the audience sometimes. I would say it was like we were doing a club date tour. You know, this whole concept, we were just having fun with it. We were doing a club date tour, warming up songs for Destroyer. So we would do Detroit and Shout Out Loud and something else, God of Thunder. You know, and because you had to, I mean, because people wanted to hear them. But people, we also used to do a tiny bit of Lick It Up and then look at each other like, what the hell was that?
Oh, yeah.
They go into like, Come On and Love Me or Take Her All I Can.
How did you meet Tommy?
I met little unbeknownst to him at the time. I met him, but I saw him really in the Rainbow when I first arrived in LA. He was the first rock star I ever saw, sitting by himself in the Rainbow. And I told him that years later. And he's just like, bro, you should have come over and said hi. But I met him through Mark Ferrari because he and Mark were roommates. So that's how I met Tommy. And same with Jamie. I mean, Mark knows everybody. So it was one of those things, if you just kind of tag along, you'll meet everybody as well. And we just, you know, I just hit it off those guys. We're same age-ish, you know, they're like, maybe if it was high school, they would have been a year or two ahead of me kind of thing. But we all got along beautifully just because of, I think, musical styles and humor. Just.
Did you ever get any feedback from Paul or Gene or anybody?
Oh, yeah. Oh, absolutely. They used to come see us.
Oh, okay. Wow. Cool.
It was, man. But it could be really cool. And like Paul would say, okay, how are you guys playing Cold Gin? When we show him, he goes, okay, you're missing one thing. You got to do this. And then it was perfect. It was just a little subtle thing. There's another thing on, I think, what was it? Got to Choose. He showed us. There's a harmony thing that Paul again showed us. And then at one point we do one of the shows and we're doing Black Diamond and Gene says, okay, who was doing the high part of the ooh? And I said, that was me. He goes, couldn't hear you. I was like, oh, thanks, buddy.
I appreciate it, Gene. Thanks for that, great.
Yeah.
A little intimidation. Here comes Gene. Yeah. Hey, you gotta step it up a little.
Right. Yeah, you gotta work on this, kid.
I got to see, I think, the first time I saw Kiss was in '77 with AC/DC opening up.
Wow.
And it was like, people like, who the hell is this Angus running around with this, you know? It was crazy. Yeah. But, you know, it was eye-opening. You didn't forget. I mean, it's one of those shows that you go, who are these guys? What? I mean, everybody's there for Kiss, but it's like, wow, AC/DC. I'll never forget that one. That was a good. What was the first time you saw Kiss?
I saw Kiss on the Animalized tour.
Oh, okay.
Again, back to the Ohio thing. The closest they'd come was Columbus, and that was an hour away. So, like, all my cool friends went to see him, and they bring back, you know, the Polaroid pictures and stuff, and I'd be like, oh man, because at that point, maybe they'd be on like Don Kirshner like once a year, right? Kind of. There's no way to see these guys unless you went to see them, and in the pictures in the magazines didn't do it justice. And then when they were finally on the Paul Lynde show, I was like, holy mackerel, look at that! I had no idea they jumped around like that because everybody was like in the Eagles, just kind of going, take it easy. Aerosmith's just, you know, I'm just all right, cool. But your Kiss is like boing, 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 boing. Like, what do you look at first? And then they blows a fire, and then, you know, it was nuts.
Where did you find your love for Thin Lizzy, which obviously is, we're going to get into talking about Kinell in a second, and obviously you and Mark to come up with the band name of Cold Sweat, which is a Thin Lizzy track, really says, hey, we love this band. Let's. But Cold Sweat really wasn't Thin Lizzy Ike. It was more flashier. It's not like where you're at today with Kinell.
Right, and what's funny is because, you know, as bands do, and we did one record and we were getting ready to do another one, and it all, you know, we fell apart. So, you know, Nirvana happened and we didn't. So, which is, and people say, oh, were you bummed about that? It's like, no, I loved Nirvana, you know, and it was time to change. We just kind of got caught in the thresher. What are you going to do? It's like being in the silent movies and it moves to talkies. You know, if you don't have a good voice, oh, well, see ya. You're working in the front office, kid. So, Mark and I, certainly Anthony too, in Cold Sweat, huge Thin Lizzy fan. So when we'd fart around in practice or whatever, we'd, you know, pick a song. Since I was on basic, at least get one of the guitars. And Eric was pretty good at picking stuff up. But it was, I would say, I mean, I liked him in high school because we listened to Chinatown when it came out and Renegade when it came out. And certainly when Thunder and Lightning came out, we were all over that because we love John Sykes. But then it really started to ripen more when we were in Cold Sweat because we were really starting to like chase down that two guitar thing. And Eric was getting it more because he didn't come from that school, but Mark did. So a lot of the songs that were like the last couple of songs that were written for Breakout, like Long Way Down, I mean, that twin guitar part, that's Thin Lizzy, like 101. So that's where it was going, which is okay. You know, it's like I said, it's the way things go. But it was right around there where it kind of blew open, because again, if you find someone who's a kindred spirit like Mark and Anthony, you're just going to run with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Why not? Let Me Love Tonight, right? Was it? I got written down here. Let me love you. Let me love tonight. Yeah.
That's not a proposition. I'm just saying that's a song title. I got you.
Yeah.
That was the big hit single, which is hilarious because, you know, now 30 years later, people have had 30 years to live with it and tell someone else about it. So we're so much bigger now than we were then. We're like, well, it's only 30 years late, but you know what? Better late than never. You know. But yeah, it's you go on iTunes and you look at the little thumbnail. You got me and Eric, which I'm like, you know, who would have guessed, right? But I'll tell you.
Well, then we jump into Saigon Kick in the early 90s. And my friend Jason there, who I just saw a couple of months ago with Jeff Scott Soto. Do you get to see Jason at all? Yep. I saw him at the Monsters of the Mountain last summer. And then I saw him, they were I live in Charleston, so they live in Bluffton. They played in Bluffton, which is about an hour and a half south of here. So I went down and hopped up and played a couple songs with him. So it was it was a blast. It's just always fun. And you know, the humor melds, and like the music is secondary. We're too busy farting around and making jokes, and you know, oh right, we got to play a song. Okay, let's do that. Yeah, those two. I get to see him every year, and it's a comedy show more than anything. Yeah,
by design.
Did you go down and did they bring you on stage and play anything? Play a little.
Yep. So they're just like, hey, we play it like this, and it's like, you know what? Just tell me the key, and I'll figure it out. And Jeff's like, wow, you followed that pretty good. You make that up. I was like, yeah, on the spot, dude. I don't know what the heck you guys are doing. You're stopping, you're starting, you're playing a Barry Manilow song in the middle of a Saigon Kick song, in the middle of an Engbe song. Like, look, just let me know when it stops.
Yeah, exactly. That was the two guys that they had on stage. They're looking at each other, and Jeff kept saying, yeah, you got it. Okay, Jason, we're done with that show. Move on to the next show. Exactly. Well, that's cool. Well, Kinell, I mean, I love the name, and I said, man, Thin Lizzy, Kinell, and all I kept thinking was like Monty Python, you know, somebody stepped on my foot, somebody slammed my finger in the door, that whole Monty Python British thing. Here to say, go, fuck, you know, but over there, it's Kinell, you know.
I found out, and I'll send it to you when we're done here. I found a kid who's falling off this log on Instagram. And his mom's like, are you okay? Are you okay? And the kid falls on the log and gets up and gets pissed. I mean, he's mad. And he goes, Kinell. And he stuffs his hands in his pockets and just stares at her. Mother is losing her mind laughing. It's like, perfect. There it is right there. 101. Kinell 101.
Right? Now you've been around the block a few times. The hardest part of any musician, I go, what was the hardest part? I go, trying to come up with a damn name. And here you got like, well, we got that. Grab that thing right now.
Yeah. I had the name actually. I was going to call it either Kinell or the Feck, which is Irish for, you know, another swear word in Irish. And I was like, you know what? I'll stick with Kinell because there's a little more. I can sneak it by a little more. And when we were out, when Cold Sweat was out with Dio, they had pretty much an all British crew. And Ronnie had all these British friends, and you know, people like Coverdale and Glenn Hughes, you know, all these people just show up. And so you heard that expression all the time. Something like you said, oh, Kinell. Or they do the FU would be silent. The Kinell, you know.
Right. The way you got to say it, the way
it's always the intent. Where you got to just lay that thing on. Yeah.
We got to talk about the videos. I get a little medieval, Braveheart.
Yeah. We got to credit Phil Varone from the Saigon Kicks. He's now a video editor and part-time drummer, as I like to call him. But he's like, dude, what do you hear on this thing? And I went, well, the song is about. I pictured Chris Jericho coming down the stairs or whatever, come down the ring, you know, just doing all this stuff and, you know, whatever. Take it all, you know, this is mine.
That would be pretty cool. Fozzy, Chris Jericho.
Yeah. I got to call Rich and say, come on, man, let's do it. But so that's how I thought of it. And then Phil was like, well, what do you think of like, you know, medieval battles and just, you know, just hardcore, just blood and guts and just hard as nails kind of stuff. And I said, dude, go for it. And he sent like something that was pretty much the final product. I was like, you might want to change like this one thing. But otherwise, dude, you nailed it, you know. And he did that with Take It All, and did it with Might Have Been as well. So I'm going to try and get him on a third one here. We just haven't decided what the third thing will be.
Oh my God, Forever After. Oh my goodness, I love that song. Heavy driven guitar, wake you up in any, I mean, cranking, man.
Yeah,
I love Easy Come, Easy Go. I love it all. I love Say Goodbye, but I think right now, every time I played it a few times, Forever After is like a kick-ass killer.
Oh.
Bill, if you're listening, start working on it. Call Chris Jericho or Mel Gibson or somebody today.
Get us some footage. But yeah, thank you. That's I think that one's very, very Thin Lizzy, like the very, very fast,
absolutely
punchy, you know, and it just that one always makes me chuckle. But there's it's about John Wick. That's what the song's about. So that's
is it really?
By the end, you get the clock ticking and tick tock, tock, and then racking the slide, and you know, John's off to another mission.
Yeah, no, it's very guitar driven. It's definitely Thin Lizzy.
Oh,
Where did you come up with you're the guy with the vocals? Have you, bass players? I mean, yeah, not that. I mean, Glenn Hughes. There's a lot of great bass players that are vocalists. But when did you step into the batter's box and say, "I'm going to do this"?
It was my first thought was, well, if we're going to do Thin Lizzy, here's what I don't want to do. I do not want to try and sound like Phil Lynott, right? Like, just don't.
Right.
So, and a couple of people I talked to were like, "Oh, you want me to sing like that?" I was like, "No." And as the more we got into it, I was like, Collin finally was like, why don't you just do it, man? Just go, just take a shot. So, and I mean, I sang obviously all my career, but singing lead is a different story because you've got to sell it. And
exactly,
like when you're on something like What Have I Done, like the solo dance, Chris McLernon, you know, here he is, he's all by himself. You better make people want to cry at the end of this thing. And I went over and over and over that thing. And there were parts, Eric Bass from Shinedown who mixed it. Yeah, he was kind of, no, he wasn't kind of, he was definitely the QC on the vocal department. So he go, dude, I want you to re-sing this part. Okay, cool. You know, no problem. You seem to know what you're doing for a living. So I said, well, what about the other ones? You know, this verse and this one? Yeah. Why don't you do that too while you're there? Okay, cool, fine. So the scrutiny, I was digging into it the most for sure, because it's me and you're front and center. And I hadn't done that really since like the club days, which is okay. But now you hear it differently because you got all this experience. So you want it to be different, but I wanted it to sound like me right up front. I didn't want someone to say, "Oh God, he's just totally ripping off this vocalist or that."
Yeah,
vocalist.
No.
Right. So I had to find myself, which is, it's much easier now because we were working on the second record and half of the third one, and I did a punk record and I did another record. So I've sang all of these, so much more confident. Whether it's better, well, then it's someone else to decide that. But I feel lots better doing it.
Yeah, no doubt. Was this a COVID project? What led you to saying, I love Thin Lizzy, let's get a few guys together and that have the same love and passion, and if Phil was alive, these would be tracks of a Thin Lizzy band?
That's exactly what I wanted to be. I wanted to be, if I was to present an entire record to Thin Lizzy and say, okay, this is for you guys. I wrote it with you in mind, but it's modern. It's not, I'm not trying to recreate Jailbreak, whether it's sound or approach, because you guys already did that and you did it better than anybody else. But let's assume they were all Rip Van Winkle and they came back out. And okay, here you go. Just, go from here. Tell me what you think. And it's kind of started with COVID, but the advantage with it being in COVID was everyone was home. So I didn't have any problem getting hold of Barry Kirch or Mark Danzeisen or Ricky Sanders and Eric Rickard, who plays on Say Goodbye, is here in Charleston. So everyone was home and everyone had nothing to do. So that was fun. Can I play another one? Yes, you can. I got this one, and it would come right back. I was like, whoa, okay, thank you. I got another one ready. You want to do another? Sure. What do you want to do, buddy? So partial.
What was the idea of 4 different drummers? I'm looking, I'm going, 4 different drummers.
Well, my goal was in Spinal Tap, killing off all the drummers. I was going to bring them to life. So I want to get as many as possible. I figured we'll make it like a big drum line, with a couple guitars in front. It was basically, I think it was a matter of when I collaborate with someone, I like to play to their strengths. So I don't like to say, here's something and do this my way, and you're playing because it's you. And no, man, what you do this well. And I really want to hear it.
Do your thing.
You got it. Exactly. It's not a tuxedo where you try to make everyone look good in it. It's like, maybe this guy wears a down jacket, and that guy wears a leather jacket, and that guy wears a suit. Just all the drummers were good at what they did. Like Barry Kirch is like a wizard in the 6/8 time signature. He just kills it. So he was a perfect choice for What Have I Done. However, he loved to take it all. So he's like, dude, let me take a crack at this. Knock
your socks off. Go for it.
Yeah, Rickard said, I had played Rickard Say Goodbye. He was like, can I play on this one? Because it was like brand new. It had just been written. And he's like, I said, sure, man. And he killed it. It was great. So that's how it came to be. Mark was the first one. We did Easy Come, Easy Go first. And I said to him, okay, man, think like 70s, but not 70s, you know, FM radio hit. You know, that might cross over to AM, but it's guitar driven, and it's the Babies, and it's, you know, Journey, and it's almost Toto, Cheap Trick for sure. Like, think that
popish rock.
Right, exactly. Gotta have hooks, gotta have the leads, gotta have all that stuff. And Mark literally goes, okay. First thing I got back was like, perfect. You know, I didn't have to tell him. He knew the style, so he knew how he could take that and then make his stamp on it work. And that's just what we did for the whole record. No
thought of getting Phil behind the kit and putting him on the song?
I think he said he listened and he's like, dude, that is just so not my wheelhouse. But during COVID, and this was one thing we did do during COVID, he and I had a band during one of the Saigon Kick hiatus, as I like to call them, because there's more than one, with a couple of guys, Randy Bates, who's in a band called East of Gideon, and then a guy named Sean Martin, and another guy named Tony Cortese. We had started a band and recorded on demos about almost an album's worth back in 96, 97. So like, okay, we're here with COVID. What do you want to do? So we finished the record and put it out. It's Panic Boom, it's called. And that's Phil and I. So that is Phil and I playing in our wheelhouses each other for sure. But he's and I've had him play on other stuff for sure. But this is definitely Thin Lizzy is its own thing in the rhythm section. It's almost jazzy. It's almost R&B. It's that Brian Downey real, you know, really a lot of wrists and feel and swing to it. And Phil is just, you know, he's just going to hit you in the head with those tom-toms. So, which is you want. That's what you want with him. But you never know. You never know. The doors are always open. But he and I are doing so much other stuff anyway. We're in the midst of another record that he's recording. So I'm like, okay, cool. Just send me something when you want it.
I love talking to Vivian Campbell. I met Viv a few times, and we talked for hours about Thin Lizzy, a guy growing up there. And saying, going to the shows and in the front row, just absorbing all of that in. And some of that you could hear in Def Leppard with Viv now on the band.
Well, in High and Dry, I call the Lost Thin Lizzy record. I mean, High and Dry is so Thin Lizzy, it's ridiculous. But for them, like for the Europeans, Thin Lizzy is so revered. Over here, they know Boys Are Back in Town, maybe Jailbreak, and of course the Metallica song, Whiskey in the Jar. I'm like, it's not Metallica. Oh, it's Metallica. That was cool. No, it's Thin Lizzy doing an old pub song. Okay. But yeah, over there, revered 100%. Over here, it's their kind of
right. Whatever radio played, sadly, because there's a lot more to it than that. That's for damn sure. Yeah. And
what was the song? It was in like Guardians of the Galaxy or something. Boys Are Back in Town, or maybe the Minions, or that's what they know it for, you know, which is better than nothing. But it's like, God, it's such a huge catalog.
Oh my God, yes. What got you into that? I read that you were into multimedia, doing a lot with broadcast, TV, cable. Just, you know, with the whole grunge thing, you just, hey, whatever pays the bills, tell me what you need me to do and I'll do it.
Yeah, Saigon Kick fizzled out around 97. And my daughter was born. So I got an offer to come up here to Charleston to work for the family company. And I was out of there. You didn't hear from me. I was gone. I put my guitar, I saved one guitar and one bass from my whole collection, stuffed them under the bed, didn't touch it for 4 years.
Wow.
I was just like, you know, which I didn't, in hindsight, I see why I did it. But it was just, I had put everything into this from age 14, and now at age 32 or 3, whatever I was like, man, I have to walk away. So I did. And it went really well. I mean, I ran the company, we won a bunch of awards locally, and, you know, the company really, really did well. But, as that was happening, digital recording and its ease was starting to come to the forefront. So being able to go to a hard drive and trade files online and do it, so I could collaborate like we do now.
Right.
I could do it then. And Eric Gammons from Cold Sweat and Mark Ferrari, but Eric in particular had a Sonic Librarian, which is this basically production music. So it might be for a commercial, it might be for a game, it might be for a trailer, it might be for a show. They said, hey man, it takes a little bit of doing, but you want to try taking a crack at this. You just got to learn to write a little differently. And I was like, yeah, sure. It was one of the best lessons I had in the music business, because we were taught to come up with something quickly, high quality, turn it in on time, and be edit ready. So they had to be able to cut it to a commercial. So you start thinking in visuals, like, okay, this comes, the song should stop, or another one, boom, it just holds out a nice sustained note. We had to be fast. So we get like 2-3 songs done a week, completely different styles. We get, you know, they'd want crunchy metal, and then they'd want, you know, Silver Sun pickups. So it was a huge lesson in that. And then as I was doing it, Rick Sanders, who was in one of the later versions of Saigon Kick and also in SCA, and he played with Daniel Cage and a couple other people. And Rick got a hold of me and said, "Hey man, I notice you're doing that now. I really want to get in on it." And Rick is just stupid talented in all aspects. He's one of those guys who like snuck into Berkeley but doesn't tell anybody because, you know, he'd probably embarrass us all with what he can do. And I said, "Yeah, sure, man." He sent a couple things over. I was like, "Yeah, let's do this." So we formed Two Heads Music, and that's all we did. And we still do it now and then, but it was we did it for probably almost 10 years. And man, because of that, I think I have 900 titles on ASCAP. I mean,
wow.
Yeah, we were a machine. It was just, okay, you got this part, I got this part, you got this part, and we just send the files back and forth. And mostly instrumental, some vocals here and there. But because they don't want a vocal going on when they're trying to say, "Tonight on NBC." You know?
Exactly.
They don't want that. They go, over the top of it. No, shut up, McLernon. No, just put the guitar over here, and the keyboards up the front, and the bass up the front. Go.
What's the biggest challenge you face today, Chris? Is it just, as I said before, the analytics, the numbers? We're in a whole visual world anymore. A video can go viral tomorrow. Is it just getting the word out? Like as much as I do, I'm the little guy. I'm a little squid in a big ocean, but I'm doing the best that I can to get it all out.
That's what I think it is. You could, Jason Beal and I've talked about this many times, where you could have the best thing in the world, but if no one knows about it, you're stuck. You know, right. You got nothing. And it's just something that used to be put on the label to promote. And even they, you know, kind of dropped the ball every now and then. But if you had a hit, boy, you saw that huge machine just chug into motion. So now we have to be the label, and part of that label is, and coming up with the music is fine, and doing the production is fine, and the artwork and all that sort of stuff. But the marketing and going out and just saying, okay, I have this now, you know, and you try and find the right person to give it to, because some people are. Like my son is all over the map with what he listens to. Like we were kind of right on, you know, like, okay, we listen to this. He and my daughter, they listen to everything. It's crazy. They'll have Back in Black and Motorhead in there, and then they'll have, you know, some crazy thing that they're like, "Here, Dad, check this." I'm like, "What is that?" You know, and I'm the dad. I shouldn't know, but it's so far. But they listen to both. So you have to be really attuned to what you push to who. You know, in other words, they got to know what you're doing. But where do you start? Do you start with Pandora? Do you start with Spotify? Do you start with YouTube? Do you start with Apple Music? Do you start with Facebook? You know, where? Live gigs? Do you give stuff away? You know, what do you do? So you just kind of, it's like getting at the end of the batting cage, and just there's like 6 pitching machines firing at you, and just hope you don't get knocked down, you know?
No, I hear you. It's not, I'm blessed. I love what I do, and I'm going to blast your tracks as much as possible. And I'm going to do Squid TV. I'm going to tell you that after we get off the air, of having playing the videos. I missed that whole. I mean, I was around obviously for the MTV thing, but we live in a visual world. So if the song and the video can go viral, well, by all means, let's do it. I'm not going to ask the stupid question if you're going to go on tour, because you're just getting started. Do you have is there a follow-up album and other projects that you're working on?
Always, yes. For Kinell, by the way, you can find us Kinell at Bandcamp, and you can just type in Kinell and, you know, take it all or whatever, and pop up. Same with YouTube. I've gone against going like a Kinell.com kind of thing, or find us on Facebook. Just go to Bandcamp. You'll find everything you need to know, including all the music we did.
One spot.
You got it. And we did a cover of Gary Moore's "Out in the Fields" for the Ukraine conflict, and there's a link up there where you can donate to the charity of your choice, as opposed to only go to UNICEF or whatever, so you can choose one. But to your question, Kinell #2 is in the works. We just got the last drum track about a week and a half ago. So now we're starting to assemble it, the demos, as opposed to what will be the final product. So all those 10 are done. I think right now, you're going to like this since you get the name. I think the second record is going to be called Fuh. So it's FUH. That's
I love your sense of humor, you guys.
That's the front runner.
Okay.
Well, we almost did Foo, right? Because of Foo, but I was like, nah.
Foo Fighter.
Right, don't want to do that. That's
you don't want to go near that.
So the second one is done and written. So now it's a matter of going back and refining it. Like I learned a big lesson with the first one where I did all these elaborate demos, and as soon as Mark or Ricky would play on it, it would change the whole vibe because they're the drummer. So like, oh shit. So I had to replay stuff, not because my part was bad, but I'd played to my drum track or a click or whatever. And so on this one, I was much more basic with sketching the song idea out, like literally one guitar left, one guitar right, bass, drums, one vocal, back vocal, that's it. So now that we got all the drums, we're going to build them up from that. So if there's something that we can keep from the demo sessions, cool, we will. But pretty much we're going to have to replay everything. And that's fine because, we've lived with it. We know what it is. So that's the second one. There's a third one that is, let's say 50% of the way written. It's a Western concept record, Cowboy Ghost Story. So
wow,
yeah. So that one's that one we're really sitting down and going, this is gonna have to take some thought because it's a story and a plot and it's got to make sense and it's got to again it's catchy. These got to be the rule number one here is songs. There's got to be a song there. It can't just be listen to 9 minutes of guitar solos, which but it's the song. It's got to be a song.
The product is the song. I mean, that's how they relate to Kinell.
Yeah,
the song.
Exactly.
It's always the song.
Yes, yeah, and I think that comes from being a Beatle fan myself. For me, and then I have a couple other things. Phil and I do this thing called the Verones, where we do like we did it for Valentine's Day. We did a song, and then for Halloween we did a Ramon song. We did Pet Cemetery, and then he puts the videos together. And it's a riot. And then so that's seasonal. That's our seasonal band. Okay. Like you go into the store and you get seasonal beers. That's our seasonal band. And then I have a thing called Megaton, which is like Dio era Sabbath, like really heavy, but really again melodic. And again, I'm doing it, but I'm not trying to sing like Ronnie. I'm trying to be smart about it. And I think the fact that I don't doesn't make people go, oh, he's totally doing this.
Yeah, no, that would just be a turn off. I mean, I'm like, if I go to a tribute band and I hear somebody trying to be like Freddie Mercury, I'm like, what are you doing? Just be yourself.
Right. Yeah. It's so much easier. It honestly is so much easier to be yourself. So, and then there's another thing I got called Bronson Avenue, which is a punk band. And I played it for my son. I said, what do you think? He goes, it sounds like the Sex Pistols and the Clash and the Ramones. I said, perfect.
There you go.
like how does he know that stuff? He's 22. I was like, you didn't, because I didn't play it in the house. I don't know where he got it. I would play it in the car where they wouldn't be yelling at me to put on SpongeBob or whatever. So Bronson Avenue, it's called Goodbye Cool World. That's also on Bandcamp. It is it's a story about.
Send me the track. Send me the track.
Well, glad to. It is about my first couple of years moving to Los Angeles. Because we've gotten the Kinell record done, which is, guitar solos and elaborate, rhythm section and big vocals. I said to Collin, all right, man, let's do the complete opposite. 2-minute songs, no guitar solos. Boom, 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 boom.
Real fast.
But the songs have to be good. And we listened to a buddy of ours named Paolo Lucciardi here. He's like this just amazing drummer. And he was another one of those guys where I just said, here's the song. And he goes, what do you think? Something like this? I was like, yes, thank you. I never would have thought of that, but that's perfect. So,
well, you think about it. You come from a small town in Ohio, then you go to fast forward to L.A. Shit's happening real quick, and it's right there.
Yeah, and that was, in hindsight, like my son told me today, hey, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to move from home. I'm going to move to Los Angeles by myself with all my shit in a van, and then I'm going to go for it. I'd be going, you're right. And I've done this. I'm like, you'd be out of your mind, son. Don't do it. But I look back and I go, well, my parents didn't stop me, thankfully, because I was going to do it. And it was not easy for 2 reasons. One, I didn't know anybody there, for one. For two, the level of competition was so brutal. Because I was a hot shot in Madison, Wisconsin. I was like, hey, look at this. I'm one of the best guitar players in town. Hey. And I was me and another guy named Ralph Alberts. And we moved to LA and we went to the whiskey one night and they heard these like Guitar Wars things, like Jack Butler and Crossroads, shooting, cutting heads. And these guys get up there. I got my guitar case and Ralph's got his and his guitar case. And I'm just going,
I don't want to pull it out.
This might be Ralph's guitar, and I just start moving away, you know, like this kind of thing. And like Joey Tafoya was there one night, and then the guy who won it was this kid with like this crappy little perm. Paul Gilbert, his name was. And we all just went, you know what? I'm more of a guitar owner. I'll be over here. See you. Bye. And that was the competition. You're just going, holy shit, this is unreal. So if it any wonder why I quit and played bass, you know, like, and when, you know, I get into Saigon Kick with Jason Beeler, who's just an incredible guitar player. I'm thinking to myself, there's no way I would be able to compete with him. You know? So I'll play bass and I'll sing. And my singing is what got me through a lot of stuff, because no one could sing that high stuff, like that Michael Anthony stuff, but I could. And there'd be bass players who would tell me, man, I sang, you know, you gave us all the confidence to go out there and sing as bass players again. Because for some reason, nobody was singing. I was like, just go do it, man. Just yell and scream and whatever. So yeah, I was not going to compete with guys like Jason.
Yeah, people, you know, you mentioned Michael Anthony. People, I still today, I mean, as much as David Lee Roth is a great singer, it was all Michael Anthony. I don't care what anybody says. Yeah. I mean, Michael was the voice behind that. I mean, God.
Yeah.
Damn.
Even Roth said recently, he goes, look, man, it was like, okay, you got Paul Simon, but then you got Garfunkel. He's like, and Mike is Garfunkel. You have to have it. People hear us and they know immediately what that is. And the crazy thing is, they switched singers and it still worked. He still sounded good with him. Yeah, Mike is one of my absolute idols. As I say, he's the humongous, you know.
I mean, David just went on. David opened for Kiss, which I couldn't believe, but by himself was terrible.
Yeah.
Now Michael, it was like, I mean, I know the guy's in his 70s and I get all that, but you know, comes a time and place without, you don't have that meat and potatoes. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, especially if you're playing those songs with people, whether they know it or not, they're in the DNA. You know how it's supposed to sound. And so if you're playing Run Up the Devil and you don't have Mike doing it behind you, or You Really Got Me, or you're talking about Love, or any of those, On Fire, whatever, that Mike just hits those just unbelievable notes, and he still
does it today.
Still does it.
I seen it with Sammy in the Circle, and I'm like, look at this guy, incredible.
Just nails it. Yeah, just like wow. And Mike's 65 of these a day. You know, like, holy crap.
Well, Chris, I've taken enough of your great time. Kinell is the name of the band. Go check it out. Go to Kinell Band at Bandcamp, one shop only. You don't have to worry about all the other socials and any of that. Nope. Makes it simple and easy. As they say, Kiss, keep it simple, stupid, right? Keep it right there. Chris, I hope you enjoyed the conversation as much as I have.
Pat, it was a blast. Thank you so much for having me. Let's do this again.
Keeping new music alive is what I do. We got to support guys like, where is it? This guy right over here. Go buy it today. Yeah.
Thank you so much.